Okay, so I thought it would be good if I went through the scriptures actually that we looked at on Thursday. Yeah, so we're going to look at them, okay, real quickly. In fact, it was just one, it was two, but the main one in relation to watching that video, and it was Acts 17 from verse 16, and I read it. Our Bible's down here, so hence the eye contact. All right, so it's Acts 17 verse 16, and I'm reading in the NIV version, and it says this: while Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace day by day with those who happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is the babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign gods." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection in verse 19. Then they took him and brought him to a meeting of the Areopagus, where they said to him, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting? You are bringing some strange ideas to our ears, and we would like to know what they mean." All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking about and listening to the latest ideas. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked around and I looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.' So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship, and this is what I am going to proclaim to you. The God that you made the world, and the God," verse 24, "the God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands. And he is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands." Okay, so I'll stop there. But the reason that we looked at that scripture was because, as I said, Paul had the opportunity here to either sink or swim, fight or flight. Yeah, he had the opportunity, and he stood by his faith, his belief in God, and he was able to proclaim and profess, and also to show people, who the real, living, true, powerful God is. Yeah, so even in midst of culture, and the culture was idol worship, and to have an idol for everything, a God for everything. But Paul was able to understand the culture and was able to explain his worldview to them, and what they needed to do to change their lives. So it's really important that we see Paul's example here, and the reason that it's here is for us to see, okay, it can be done. We can stand up in the culture and be God-fearing, and also get our message across about our love for God and his love for people, but also that he's a perfect God, and that he's a God of wrath as well, and he wants us to turn from our sin. He wants us to turn from our way, from being the sovereign rulers of our own lives, and handing that back to him, so he is the Lord of our lives. So it's really, really important that we get that point, and that's the point that I was trying to help everyone to understand, is that culture is not a bad thing, but when you become the culture, your message will become watered down. It will become intertwined in the culture. And we want the message to stand out, to be a beacon, to be powerful. We don't want the message to lose its power. So that was really important. Okay, and then there's another scripture that I wanted to look at, and I mentioned to people, and it was in Psalms. It's actually quite gratifying turning the pages of the Bible. Right, so if we go to Psalms chapter 12, that sounds nice. Psalms chapter 12, right, it's a short psalm, it's only, Psalm, not Psalms, it's Psalm chapter 12, and it says, "Help, Lord, for no one is faithful anymore. Those who are loyal have vanished from the human race. Everyone lies to their neighbor. They flatter with their lips, but harbor deception in their hearts. May the Lord silence all flattering lips and every boastful tongue. Those who say, by our tongues we will prevail. Our own lips will defend us. Who is Lord over us?" And I wanted to stop there. Verse 4. Verse 4. "By our tongues we will prevail. Our own lips will defend us. Who is Lord over us?" And that is basically the culture that we live in. Who could tell me what to do? Who's in charge? I'm in charge. I make my own decisions. You know, the minute that we ate that fruit, we became sovereign, we became rulers. And that's what we are now relinquishing back to God. Yeah, and we've got to remember that our default status is to always go back to us being in control, to us being Lord. Yeah, that's the default, that's sin. Yeah, where sinful nature is us. So we need God to correct that. And we have to make that profession daily, yeah, hourly. God, you are my Lord. I'm giving up the sovereignty of this. I'm giving it back to you. So just wanted to leave that with you. Yeah, that is a really important point for our Christianity, is who is going to be Lord? Who's in control? As it says there, they said, by our own tongues we will prevail, our own lips will defend us. We've got the mind, we've got the technology, we've got the advancements. Who can be Lord over us? Yeah, remember that scripture, Psalms chapter 12. Have a great day.